episode.
Today, we're going to be showing you creepiest ones, because our picture is done. Let's get started. Top 5.
It's me, Baldy. Remember, I was a bad guy in the last videos? Did you miss me? Well, here go Pickles here. Introduced you.
Hello. I'm going to be here for the videos now. So nice to meet you.
Well, Dipsy and Paul are not here today. They're having a break. So let's get started. Number 5.
The Grieving from the Amazing World of Gumball.
Wait a minute. We forgot to show you the picture.
Now here it is. This bit over here is finished now.
Yep. Let's move on. Let's get back to the grieving.
Yeah.
Particular is extremely disturbing. So it starts off with the narrator Sarah watching Adult Swim really late into the morning, and then an ad comes on for a special episode of The Amazing World of Gumball. The title card reveals that the episode is called The Grieving, and it was 30 minutes instead of the usual 11. The episode began with Gumball standing alone facing a corner of his dimly lit school classroom, crying and completely miserable. It was nighttime outside, and nobody else was around him as he cried for a minute of the episode. After this scene, we see Gumball's father, Richard, looking even more miserable and sobs intensely while sitting on a sofa. Richard's crying gradually got worse, and it wasn't the normal cartoon crying you'd see, but instead more realistic and depressing. Eventually, the scene changed to Gumball's parents in Principal Brown's office. The principal informs them that Anais and Darwin were not present earlier that day. Their bodies had been found, and then it goes into graphic and nauseating detail to describe that. After this scene, we get an insanely creepy flashback of the police searching the wooded area outside of the school. They finally discover the horrible fate of Anais and realize that her head was found in a small box. Realistic blood covered the box completely, but Anais's head was drawn in the normal cartoonish style. After watching this scene, the narrator calls her brother and asks if he has seen this on TV as well. She finds out that only she can see the grieving, and an old rerun of a Looney Tunes short is playing on her brother's TV. Then we get back to the episode after the narrator desperately tries to turn off her TV and stop playing the episode, but nothing is working and she is forced to watch the rest. Gumball's parents were still talking to the principal, asking if Gumball was alright, seemingly unaware of the previous moments where they found out Gumball died. The police were called again, and Gumball was found in a classroom hanging by a noose. Blood covered the knife behind him, and blood covered his clothing. The episode ended with Gumball's dead body hanging in the corner, fading to black. In the credits, the narrator discovers a familiar name and messages him on Twitter. But before she can message him, she sees a few video clips after the credits of various disturbing things. I don't want to say exactly what they were because honestly it was terrible to read, but you probably don't want to know. Eventually it's found out that this episode was just a sketch of the Wattersons and Friends, something never supposed to be released, and it was made a very long time ago. But then this person who worked on the show says that there was no blood and guts in the episode, no dead bodies, and nothing really creepy. The theory is that some lunatic edited the tape, hijacked the local TV station, and got the episode to air on the narrator's local Cartoon Network station. Someone made this episode in video form, and it's pretty creepy.
Number 4. Blue's Clues, No Clues.
The narrator tells his story as a flashback since it happened in 2001, and he was recommended by his older sister to watch a Blue's Clues VHS. Strangely, it was a red VHS, but the back and other sides were all white. His older sister, Julie, put the VHS in the player and watched the Blue's Clues episode. It began with a weird Nick Jr. logo on the screen for 7 seconds, and then it went to the actual episode. The Blue's Clues intro started, but there was no joyful guitar music and instead depressing piano sounds. Steve says, "Hi, play with me," in a voice that didn't sound like Steve at all. Then there's static and the house door opens, revealing a man that looks nothing like Steve but still wearing the same clothes as him. Then the TV went into static and Steve was back to normal. He said, "Hello little boys and girls, we don't play Blue's Clues today, sorry." The background kid said, "Why not?" And then the screen went into a tiny burst of static, revealing a dead corpse. She was on her back, her stomach ripped open, and her intestines tied around her. The eyes were popped out of her sockets. Steve began to smile at the camera and then said, "You kids will learn about death." Soon after, there's static and a 666 can be seen if you look closely enough. Then Steve gives Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper juice, but they soon realize that it's actually cyanide and poison. Steve was satisfied at his murder, so he kept going. He went after Shovel and Pail, telling them that they're next. He sang Ring Around the Rosie in a creepy little girl's voice as he grabbed Pail and killed her. More static came on the TV for about a minute, and then we see Steve and Slippery Soap. Slippery is blindfolded, unaware of the terrible fate awaiting him. Steve counted to 3, then sliced him with a knife. He then turned to the screen and said that Satan was his king, that he needed to kill himself to make him happy. A rope sound came out of nowhere, and the Nick logo came on. It was in the shape of a knife, with the top of it being 666 and the bottom of it saying "Tu Turno," which meant your turn. There were no credits and the screen became static.
Top 3. Suicide Mouse.
.avi.
This is a shorter story than the 2 others, but it's still extremely creepy. There's an episode of Mickey Mouse walking past buildings continuously as a never-ending loop. There is no catchy tune playing in the background like you would expect, and instead there's either silence or screaming depending on how far in you are. Mickey wasn't dancing or smiling, just walking with a normal facial expression. Keep watching the full episode and it just randomly cuts to a black screen with no explanation. As it went on, everything started to get more distorted and you could hear blood-curdling screams. Mickey's face began to fall apart, with his eyes rolling on the bottom of his chin, and his smile pointing upward on the left side of his face. The screaming kept going on until 8 minutes in, and then it cuts to the Mickey Mouse face of the credits. According to the creepypasta, there was an employee who watched the final 30 seconds and then came out of the room repeating, "Real suffering is not known," before taking a guard's pistol and shooting himself in the head. You can find video clips of suicidemouse.avi on YouTube.
The Willy Wonka beta tape creepypasta is actually just hard to read. It tells a supposed alternate copy of the original story that was made before the book. It was released exactly 1 year before the book, actually. The author was able to acquire a copy by mail. He sent a letter to someone who was close to the author of Willy Wonka and was sent a VHS in return. I'm not sure why they decided to send some random person a VHS copy of something that could ruin their reputation, but they did. The VHS had the true story of Willy Wonka written on it in black marker, a pretty common staple for lost episode creepypastas. I can make a list of how many stories did this exact same trope, but if it did, then I wouldn't have the video up until 2023. The Willy Wonka beta tape creepypasta is probably my least favorite creepypasta of all time. I can't tell if it was meant to actually scare people, or if it was a troll pasta in disguise. It's just not very good though, because it tries too many things. It's not really worth retelling the story, as there really isn't one. All it does is demonize Wonka in weird ways and add generic creepypasta tropes. I would have liked them to explore a lot more subtle, horrific moments from their source material.
Top 1. Sally the Dead Flower. Oh, suddenly, it was just a normal day, and then 2 of the MBO logos came. There was the same, and it keeps going, restarting, and it keeps stopping and restarting, and it keeps going forward again, and then it restarts and go back.
And a sniff was heard.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden she's going to turn evil, and then
There was static for 5 seconds.
static for 5 seconds. Then she said,
The same thing
then
as
she
Peppa
said-
Pig. The same thing as me. And her eyes are covered in honey. And so much blood and very, very sharp teeth. This story is very scary.
Yeah.
Scary as can be, right guys?
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.
And subscribe!
And comment how you liked it. It was scary or too scary.
Yeah, please comment down below, even if it's one view. And give us so many likes, even if it's one view. See you later.
Bye.